Thank you very much, Holy Father, and the Vatican for inviting me here to this very important event. And I say important event because, as you've just heard, together we can do it. Together we can accomplish our goal. The Catholic Church has 1.4 billion members. 1.4 billion Catholics out there. 400,000 priests. 600,000 nuns. 200,000 churches. Now think about that. That power. And for that to be involved in our movement, in our environmental movement, to terminate pollution. To terminate pollution. And of course, I'm very honored to be here because I'm next to an action hero. Now you're laughing because he doesn't look maybe like one, like you see in the movies with the muscles and with the guns and all that stuff. No. But the reason why I call him an action hero is because as soon as he became the Pope, he ordered the Vatican to put solar panels on top of the buildings. Think about that. This will be one of the first states very soon to be carbon neutral. So let's give them a big hand for this great, great action. Now, I was asked to come here, obviously, because I was the governor of the state of California, and we did the most aggressive environmental laws that we passed over this period of 7 years. And we went to work together, Democrats and Republicans, meaning liberals and conservatives, all united and worked together to pass those very, very tough environmental laws in California. And we passed one law after the next, so much so that eventually we reduced our greenhouse gases by 25%. We upped the renewables from 19% to 70%. And we did the million solar roofs, the Green Building Initiative, one law after the other. And we had the most success environmentally of any state in the United States. Now here comes the important thing. It wasn't easy. First of all, there were the naysayers that said it can't be done. It's impossible. You will ruin the economy. California will go in the ocean. But I have learned a long time ago from my bodybuilding career and my show business career and from my businesses, never to listen to the naysayers. Because everything that they said we will ruin the economy was a bunch of nonsense. Because look at it today. California has the strictest environmental laws in the United States, and we are number one economically. Number one economically, with over $4 trillion GDP. And not only are we number one economically in the United States, but the fourth largest economy in the world, even though we have the strictest environmental laws. The second thing they said was that you cannot do that because the federal government, the Bush administration at that time, they're against those environmental laws. They would not allow it to do that. We didn't worry about that. We marched ahead. We passed one law after the other, and then when the federal government came to us and said, stop, you can't do that anymore, we took them to court. And we went from one court to the next court, all the way up to the Supreme Court of the United States. And the Supreme Court of the United States decided that we were right, we had the right to determine our air and to terminate pollution. And so we beat the federal government. So instead of just standing there like they're doing today so many times, they say, "You federal government is not really for the environment, what should we do?" I say, stop whining and get to work. Each and every one has the power. The federal government doesn't have the ultimate power. The states and the local governments do. We have the power. Imagine the cities, the states. That's where 70% of the action is. That's where 70% of the reduction of pollution is. So why am I looking at Washington and worry about Washington? It's nonsense. It's an excuse. So the other thing that I learned very quickly was, this is one of the most important things, is communication. You have to communicate the right way. When we started our environmental movement in California, when I became governor, people were not behind us. I said to myself, why is that? We're talking about climate change. 20% of the people said, yeah, this is kind of dangerous. Well, you need more than 50%, right, to get anything done. So we talked then about the rising sea level. Nothing, the needle didn't move. We talked about the glaciers melting, the ice is melting, the polar bear is in danger. No matter what we said, it didn't move the needle, nothing happened. But then the American Lung Association sent us a television commercial, a little commercial that showed a kid, a little tiny kid, trying to inhale almost was impossible, and then this child faded. We don't know what happened. Did it die? Did it pass out? Or whatever. That little spot we put right away on television. And all of a sudden, everyone got interested, and we had 62% of the people behind us going with the environmental laws, and that's how we were able to succeed and to pass all of those environmental laws. So communication is so important. You can talk about climate change, but climate change kills a lot of people. Yes, but it's 500,000 people in the last 10 years. That's 500,000 too many. But let's not forget, pollution kills 7 million people according to the World Health Organization. 7 million people a year. So we should talk about terminating pollution and not about climate change. This is what is so important about communication. We got to talk about pollution because people understand that. They don't understand when you're talking about carbon zero, when you talk about 1.5% of Celsius we can increase, and then it gets to be dangerous. What do you think, the average person knows what that means? Of course not. So we got to talk, instead of the brain, we got to talk to the heart so that people understand it. So this is the most important thing, is communication. And on the end, I just want to say to you that I have a very clear vision that we can do it together. We can go and terminate pollution. We can go and wipe it out if we all work together. If we all work together, because God put us in this earth by leaving this earth a better place than we inherited it. So let's do it. Thank you very much. Thank you.